If you've been scrolling through endless rows of fridge options, weighing capacity against price, and still feel like you might end up with a unit that looks great but never actually fits your kitchen routine, stick around. This review is going to break it down so you can walk away with a clear picture. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent a few weeks actually measuring, loading, and watching how the Samsung 27.4 cuffed side-by-side fridge behaves in a real household, and I'll lay out the moments where it shines and the spots where it can trip you up. First off, let's talk about why the size matters. A 27.4 cubic foot interior is roughly the sweet spot for families of 3 to 5 who like to keep a decent stock of fresh groceries, a couple of frozen meals, and still have room for bulk buys on the weekends. When I filled the freezer with a mix of family-size pizza boxes, freezer-bagged veggies, and a few ice cream tubs, there was still a clear aisle in the middle, which is something you only notice once the doors are actually closed and you're trying to grab something from the back. That all-around cooling claim translates into a fairly even temperature across both sides. You won't find the left door freezer turning into an ice block while the right side stays a little warm. In practice, that means you can stash a tray of chicken breasts on the left and a bag of frozen berries on the right and both stay solid for the same length of time. The modern design is another reason this model keeps popping up in showroom floors. The stainless steel finish has a fingerprint-resistant coating, which is a small but noticeable convenience. After a quick grocery run, the door panels stay relatively clean even when my teenage kids touch the handles with greasy fingers. It's not a miracle coating, but it does cut down on the need to wipe the doors every night. The interior lighting is also well placed, giving you a clear view of both the fridge and freezer compartments without having to crane your neck. Now, the indoor ice maker is a feature that often splits opinions. In a household that drinks a lot of cold water, having a built-in ice supply is a huge win because you never have to go out to the garage or buy a separate ice maker. The Samsung's ice maker produces around 78 pounds of ice per day, which is enough for a family of 4 to fill a couple of pitchers after a backyard barbecue. The catch is you need a water line installed, which means an extra step during setup. If you rent or don't have a convenient plumbing point nearby, that could add a bit of hassle or even a professional installation cost. For people who rarely use ice, the unit feels like an unnecessary complication. When it comes to real-world daily usability, the side-by-side layout offers a couple of practical benefits. The fridge doors open vertically, which is a boon for tight kitchen aisles. You can pull the left door just a few inches and still see what's inside, making it easier to grab a single milk carton without swinging the whole door wide open. The right-hand freezer door gives you a full-height drawer that slides out smoothly, so you can pull out the whole freezer shelf without having to dig through a deep bin. That design works well for quick snack grabs. Think grabbing a frozen pizza right before you head out to a game. However, the same layout can be a downside if you often need to store large, wide items like a full-size sheet cake or a big turkey. The width of each side is limited compared to a French door fridge with a wide bottom freezer. You'll end up having to rotate or split large items across the two doors, which can be a bit of a choreography you didn't anticipate when you first saw the spec sheet. For a family that frequently cooks holiday meals and buys large roasts, that might be a practical pain point. Energy consumption is another hidden trade-off. Samsung rates this model as Energy Star compliant, but the side-by-side design generally uses a bit more power than a top freezer model of similar capacity because the compressor runs more often to keep both doors at consistent temperatures. In a typical month, you might see a few extra dollars on your electric bill compared to a more compact fridge. If you're on a tight budget or have a small kitchen footprint, that added running cost is worth considering. So, who should definitely consider this Samsung? If you have a medium-sized family, love the convenience of an indoor ice maker, and your kitchen layout can accommodate the width of a side-by-side unit, roughly 35 inches, this fridge checks most boxes. It's also a good fit for anyone who values a clean, modern look and wants the flexibility of grabbing fresh items from the fridge side without fighting a full-width door. The even cooling makes it reliable for storing a mix of fresh produce and frozen meals without having to constantly rearrange items. Who might want to skip it? First, single-person households or couples.